Listen to this educating story, the day they stopped suffering in silence. We all know that breaking silence suffering could be messy, emotional, uncomfortable, but it can be super transformative. However, to stop suffering in silence could only be possible if you break free from the chain of believing that you deserve to suffer. Now, the big question is, how do you break free when your family or the people with you doesn't even realize they're chained? Subscribe now and watch to the end of this video as you'll recognize how subtle acceptance of humiliation quietly shapes destiny and how victimization doesn't always shout but sometimes whispers until it becomes normal. This video will help you evaluate yourself and show you how you can break the chain of suffering in silence. You will understand why you do not have to always bow your head to meaningless people and situations. You can't suffer forever. There has to be a limit to what you can accept. In Georgia, this family didn't just lose money. They lost their voice. They lost their confidence. They lost their right to say, enough. And when one son finally tried to wake them up, he discovered the hardest truth of all. Sometimes the enemy isn't outside. Sometimes the enemy is hidden within, inside your own home. The rain hit the tin awning outside. The small duplex in Savannah like impatient fingers. Inside, the Whitmore family sat around a scratched wooden table. Silence. Not peaceful silence. Heavy silence. Marcus Whitmore stared at the unpaid electric bill in his hand. $487.32. Overdue. Again. Danielle, his wife, stood at the stove, stirring nothing. The pot had been empty for 5 minutes. Their son Caleb, 17, leaned against the counter scrolling through his phone. Their daughter Nia, 12, quietly did homework at the table. Marcus exhaled slowly. They raised it again, he muttered. Danielle didn't turn around. They always do. Caleb snorted softly. Yeah, and we always just pay it. Marcus shot him a look. Watch your tone. Caleb looked up. His eyes weren't disrespectful. They were tired. No, Dad. I'm serious. They charge late fees. They lose our payments. They talk to you like you're nothing. And you just stand there. Marcus's jaw tightened. That's how life works, son. You don't argue with people who have the upper hand. Nia looked up quietly. What's the upper hand? Danielle finally turned around. Money, baby. Caleb's voice sharpened. No. Power. Silence again. Marcus slammed the bill on the table. You think I don't know that? You think I enjoy being talked down to? Huh. You think I like it when Mr. Henderson calls me boy even though I'm 46 years old? The word hung in the air like smoke. Danielle flinched. Caleb's fists clenched. Then why don't you say something? Caleb demanded. Marcus stood. Because saying something doesn't change anything. It just makes it worse. Subscribe to my channel. And stay with me till the end of this video because you won't just finish a story. Rather, you'll finish with a new awareness about your own life. The Whitmores weren't always like this. They had dreams once. Marcus used to talk about opening his own auto repair shop. Danielle once sketched designs for a catering business. But over the years, layoffs, denied loans, subtle discrimination, predatory contracts, so many things shifted. They stopped pushing back. They started adapting. Adapting turned into accepting. Accepting turned into normalizing. And normalizing turned into mediocrity. The next morning, Marcus stood in front of Henderson Auto Garage, the same place he'd worked for 11 years. Henderson stood outside, chewing a toothpick. You're late, Henderson barked. Marcus glanced at his watch. It's 8:02. So, 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. Marcus lowered his head slightly. Yes, sir. Caleb watched from a close by. Henderson stepped closer. And that customer yesterday? You talk too much. Let me handle customers. You fix engines. Marcus nodded. Yes, sir. Caleb's chest burned. That night, the tension exploded. Caleb threw his backpack on the couch. I'm not going to college. Danielle froze. What? I'm not going just to end up like this. Marcus looked up slowly. Like what? Caleb's voice cracked, but it was fierce. Like you, Dad, like you. The room went still. Marcus stood slowly. Explain yourself, Caleb. Dad, you work harder than everyone in that garage. Everyone knows it. But you let Henderson disrespect you. You let banks deny you. You let customers question you unnecessarily. You let this world shrink you. Danielle stepped in. Caleb, that's enough. No, Mom. It's not enough. We keep acting like this. Is it just how life is supposed to be? Marcus's voice lowered. You think it's easy? You think fighting changes things? Yes. Caleb shouted. Because not fighting guarantees nothing changes. Marcus stepped closer. You don't understand what it costs to push back. Caleb met his father's eyes. And you don't understand what it costs not to. Nia whispered from the corner. Why do we always say that's just how it is? No one answered her. Later that night, Danielle sat on the edge of the bed. We have taught them to endure, she said softly. Marcus rubbed his face. Enduring keeps us safe. Does it? She asked. He didn't answer. She continued. I went to the bank today. Marcus looked up. And? They approved the Petersons again. For a third business loan. Marcus stiffened. And us? They said our risk profile is too unstable. Marcus laughed bitterly. Of course. Danielle's voice cracked. I didn't argue. Marcus looked at her sharply. Why not? She swallowed. Because I already knew what they were going to say. There it was. The truth. They had stopped trying before they started. Going forward, let me ask you this question if you find yourself in this story. What would change in your life if you stopped calling suffering normal? Just for one day. Put your comments in the comment section and stay with me to the end of this video. 2 weeks later, something happened. Henderson accused Marcus of stealing tools. In front of everyone. You think I don't see inventory missing? Henderson snapped. Marcus's hand shook. I would never. Save it, Henderson interrupted. I've seen your type before. Your type. Caleb had been right. Marcus nodded in his mind. Immediately, Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. For years, he had told himself silence was a strategy. But now it felt like surrender. He looked Henderson in the eye and said, check your cameras. The garage went quiet. Henderson blinked. What? Check. Your cameras. Henderson hesitated. Marcus didn't look away. For the first time in years, he didn't lower his head. 2 hours later, the footage showed another employee pocketing the tools. Henderson avoided Marcus's gaze. Marcus didn't. Looking straight into Henderson's eyes, Marcus said, You owe me an apology, Henderson. The words shocked even him. Henderson muttered something inaudible. Marcus didn't move. Say it clearly. I apologize. Marcus nodded once. Then he took off his work gloves. I quit. That evening, Marcus walked into the duplex differently. Caleb noticed immediately. What happened? Marcus placed his gloves on the table. I stopped. Stopped what? Danielle asked. Stopped accepting. Silence. I quit today. Danielle's face drained. You did what? I quit. With what savings? She whispered. Marcus's voice was calm. With self-respect. Caleb stepped forward. What's the plan? Marcus inhaled deeply. I fix cars better than anyone in that shop. Why am I making Henderson rich? Danielle stared at him. Because we don't have capital. Maybe we don't need a building, Marcus replied. Maybe we will start automobile driveway repairs. We advertise with our mouth. Danielle hesitated. That's risky. Marcus nodded. So is staying small forever. The first month was brutal. Some customers doubted him. One neighbor said, You sure you're licensed for that? Marcus replied calmly, Yes. and insured. Danielle printed flyers. Caleb built a website. Nia designed a logo. It wasn't smooth, but it was theirs. One afternoon, Henderson drove past and saw 3 cars parked outside the duplex. Marcus didn't look away. He stopped by and tried to win Marcus back to his company. Marcus rejected Henderson's luring offers. Months later, the same bank manager called. "Mr. Whitmore, we've noticed significant revenue activity." Marcus smiled slightly. "Yes. We'd like to revisit your loan application." Marcus leaned back. "We'll review the terms." "Okay. Review and let me know." "Not please." "Not thank you." "Not whatever you say." As was the culture with Marcus. Now, pause this video for 6 seconds and think. What have you been tolerating that you should be confronting? Let's continue. That night at dinner, Caleb grinned. "Everything feels different now, doesn't it?" Marcus nodded. "Yeah, it does." Nia asked softly, "So what changed?" Danielle looked around the table. "We did." Marcus added quietly, "We stopped believing humiliation was normal." Caleb leaned back. Marcus smiled. "No, mindset is the beginning of everything." The day they stopped suffering in silence wasn't when they got the loan. It wasn't when revenue doubled. It wasn't when Henderson tried to hire Marcus back. It was that rainy Tuesday 14 months ago. The day Caleb said, "You don't understand what it costs not to fight." That was the day the chain cracked. The day they realized victimization only survives when it's accepted. Was the day silence stopped feeling safe. The Whitmores didn't become millionaires overnight, but they became something far more dangerous to mediocrity. They became aware. They became confident. They became unapologetic. And in Savannah, Georgia, that shift changed everything. They had lived years believing survival meant submission. But the day they changed their mindset was the day they stopped suffering in silence. We've come to the end of this striking and destiny-challenging story. If you really got any value from this video, I'd want you to drop one word in the comments that represents what you're no longer accepting. Thank you for watching and staying to the end of this video. Remember, you can always say enough to things you're bigger than. You can always find real solution and live in peace of mind. Disrespect, disregard, and mediocrity shouldn't be permanent. Subscribe and share this video to help others.